Check, check. All right. Talk in chat if you can hear me. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Do I sound good? Am I laggy? It's my stream says I'm dropping frames. But that probably was because I was downloading stuff a minute ago. I stopped that now, but I want to see if... I don't want to start really doing the thing until my voice sounds decent. Which I think it does. It just depends if this is accurate or not. Unread notifications. Okay, that was 2 minutes ago. Check. Check. Okay, I sound good. Very good. That is a good thing, indeed. So yeah, just let me pull up everything I want to pull up. I see Samuel made a song. It's empty though. Oh, perhaps that was mine. Okay, I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Nate. Oh, always sound perfect. What do you mean? Let's see. Discard. Okay, I want to make a new project. I'm going to make a new project, and I'm going to transfer it to the phone, and then work on it on the phone, and then send it back to the computer, and show you that it all works, and show myself that it all works. I wonder if I can collaborate with myself at the same time. that is a good call. I don't know. I'm just gonna try making a project, and then let's see. Also, I have to make sure my audio is outputting to the right place, because right now my computer is not sending it to the stream. So, sound. Let's see. Elgato plus audio views aggregate or multi-output. Which one did I use? I think it was multi-output. Hopefully that still works. Let's see. Record ready. Gonna need to put my headphones on. It actually doesn't appear that I have the Elgato as a source in this view. Let me change that. I want to add a source. Oh, I have to add it here. Okay. Let's do audio input capture. I want to do the line from Elgato. Okay. Turn that down maybe to like here. I have to turn my device on. Cool, even my keyboard's working. But I'm not getting any audio out of this, so what's up with that? What is up with that? Properties. Yeah, okay. My audio device needs to be multi-output, yes. What if I do aggregate? Alright, well, let's just try switching views then. Maybe the audio will come through then. Let's go to this view. Hey, now it's coming through. What was the difference there? One sec. I'm still doing a little bit of... Oh, it was the... Okay, I see. So it had to be game texture, the video feed, and that's where the... Okay. Hello? How you doing? This light might be not ideal. Let me turn on the fancy lights instead. As you can see, I tried to set up a green screen behind me, but I don't have exactly the proper lighting, so I couldn't find a way to make it look decent. I always had parts of my head that were invisible or something along those lines. So a green screen is not working quite yet, but there will be one. There will be a green screen. Also, I've done a little bit of updated visuals. I don't know if you noticed, but I have black lines around all of the text. So if I go here, you can see all of the all the trim. Oh, we got another viewer. Hello, 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 guys. All right. So I can't hear the audio coming from QuickTime. Let's close all this out of the way. I can hear it here. Oh, you know what I have to do? I have to bring this up. Rotate your device. Ho ho! So, check it out. We have today going to talk a little bit about the, well, a lot of it, about the Soundtrap app. It's basically got all of Soundtrap in the phone. This is my phone. I've just basically connected to the computer, and I can see, I can zoom out, and there's all my apps, etc., etc. Right? So I've got a little track here. I'm gonna actually start from the very beginning though. Let's go out. So let's exit the studio. Don't save. So what are you gonna see when you go to the App Store and you download Soundtrap for the first time? You might not see this. You'll have to log on to your account and yada yada, whatnot. But you can see here we have our profile that shows us all of our projects that we've done so far. And we got the Discover tab, but it's giving me this error for some reason, so we're not going to worry too much about that. It looks like you can go through and kind of, yeah, so there's nothing really here yet. This is, I don't know why this isn't working with my phone, but apparently I guess you could go and find projects here? That might be a thing you could do. Anyway, ooh, my face is not in frame. I'm like way over here. Hold on, here we go. So, if we go to the middle here, we can then enter the studio so that you can see. I can't really highlight my taps. I need to think of a way to do that, to highlight where I'm touching on the screen. I know how to do it on Mac, but on the phone, I'm not sure. So hope you can just tell. I hope I'm clear in what I'm doing here. We see our messages. Nathan Roca has sent me. Yep, I don't know what that was. Oh, that was probably when I invited him to the collab. So we can enter the studio. I'm going to click on the Enter Studio button, and you can see it all loads up. We have some templates here. So this is something that we don't see in, well, maybe we see in Soundtrap. I haven't really explored the templates. I don't know if there is a way you can select this, but you got all these templates that you can kind of go through and look at. We're going to start from blank project though. So we're going to tap on, so you can see it's kind of a similar interface you have here. I'm going to rotate my screen. Okay, maybe I can kind of do like this. I can like show myself using it, right? Perhaps. Maybe that might be a little better. Let me try this. I'm going to try to make a little display here. Can I possibly can I possibly make this happen? Hey! Let's maybe center this frame. Let's get this looking nice. And also, let's not spill our coffee over. Okay, so that's probably good. I wish I could rotate it. I have a proper camera stand I can set up. I'll have that for next stream. You can't really see my screen. It's not really focusing on the camera, but obviously you don't need to. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to, let's see, we're going to take a look at the interface here. So we can zoom in by pinching. And we can see here our ruler at the top here. That are our bars, and this is our playhead here, so I'm dragging it around. You have our controls at the top. So we have play. We don't have the forward and backwards, but we don't really need them because you can drag with your finger. You don't need those controls. You've got the undo and the redo. You've got your save button, and then you have your settings. And here you can do some of the stuff that you were able to do by right-clicking on a region in Soundtrap, like splitting it, copy-paste. There's auto-tune and the quantize that we had touched on, especially the quantize. We haven't talked really much about auto-tune. We can get to that today if we're so inclined. But that might be a whole day's subject because we want to do a whole bunch of tests with that. Like, I want to see how it sounds on things other than just voices. And of course we need voices to work with. I might even try auto-tuning my own voice. Of course that's going to be the first trial. And then auto-tuning one of y'all. That could be the second. So we'll have some fun with that, but not today. Anyway, those are options. And then we have, there actually is a name. You see this menu thing in the top right? That's called a Hamburger Menu. I'm not kidding. So we click on the Hamburger Menu, and then we can see all of the other options we have. So we have the ability to change this tempo of the song. We have the metronome, and we can turn that on and off. We can change its volume. All the things that you would normally do. So we can change its sound. So now if we play, we can hear it's a clave, hi-hat, so on and so forth, right? I'm gonna keep it a clave. I like the clave. So we can go ahead and press play. Awesome. Let's change our tempo to, okay, we'll have to of course type numbers. Let's see, 90. We'll go for something slow today. Okay, for some reason it is not playing. That's weird. Oh, wow. Doesn't like when you change the tempo. Let's see. Let me change it back to 120. Oh, there it goes. It just took super long time. Alright, interesting. It lags a little bit. But it does work. So don't panic if it breaks on you. That's the first time that's happened to me. We are exploring this together, and we are learning together, and also failing together. But that's fine. You know, it was the app's fault. We have our MIDI settings. You can also somehow plug a MIDI keyboard into your phone. You can also plug, there are ways, if you are savvy enough, to plug a guitar into your phone. You can, like, you know how guitars usually have the 1/4-inch cables. In fact, let me go and get one of those real quick. I'll be right back. Exact purpose. Well, that might work. cable you need, right? Anyway, it's not important. It's not important enough to search this long. Alright, here is an example. I'm just going to open my, I'm going to turn this light on so you can see a little better. Aha, that's better. So one of these, right? Like that you would plug one into your guitar, and then you would plug the other end into something that I was just looking for but could not find. There's an adapter. Oh, first of all, there is no headphone jack on this phone, so you have to get two adapters. You have to get two adapters. You have to get one. You have to get the dongle for the phone that lets you have a headphone jack, and then secondly, well, you'd probably actually I know where that cable is. One second, I know where that cable is. I know exactly where that is. Alright, so if you have an iPhone X like me, which I'm assuming you have something similar to this where your phone conveniently took away the audio port for you, so now you have to use these little tiny cables. I have so many of these now. Little dongles. The one end is your headphone jack, right? Other end plugs into your phone. You know how these work, I'm assuming. I unplugged so the video feed went away. But that's fine. We'll get that back soon enough. So you'll want to plug in. So you can use this one. This one lets you have the headphone jack. And then you'd have some sort of adapter, right? That goes here. And this would change the size of this port. So this is a... okay, let me see if I can get it in focus here. It's a 3.5 millimeter... a 3.5 inch. No, definitely not inch. 3.5 millimeter port. Standard headphone jack. Then you have the 1/4 inch cable for your guitars. You would have an adapter that changes this into that, into the smaller port. You plug that into your phone, and you'd set up a track in Soundtrap to have an amp from your guitar, and you can do it. You can record guitar right into your phone. Quite cool, actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug into. Oh, let me show you the other thing I was going to. So this, right? This is the same thing, but it essentially lets you charge and use a headphone jack at the same time. So it kind of just restores what was there before. I like to use this one. That way, if I'm recording for a long time, I can be always charged up, always juiced up. Won't have to worry about anything failing on me. So, right. Let me plug this back in so we get our feedback. This is my connection to the computer. Now I could have used the dongle, but that's all right. I'm using because I plugged the phone into the computer. I have both the audio. Oh, hi there. Hi there. No, not right now. Okay, give it some time. Oh boy. And I gotta restart. Yeah, this is fun. Alright. Let's do new movie recording. Gotta get my source back. It's gonna be my face. Oh, interesting. Let me try starting it without the thing plugged in. New movie recording. Here. There we go. It's gonna be me. Hello. All right, we can turn this off. Let's plug this in here. QuickTime is quite interesting, and this is not a good angle for me. I'm very bright. I'm very bright. I have this light right on my face. Also, the green screen is not right. Oh, it's not in this with this camera. The other one, it's set up right. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. All right, let's switch sources. Hopefully it's good. Let's switch audio sources as well. Can we get signal? Yes? Maybe? Perhaps? Very weird. Very weird. I've selected my phone. I've selected my phone for the audio, but I see nothing. Why? Why do I see nothing? This is so weird. Why? It's just not working. That's a weird one. I'm gonna just try restarting QuickTime entirely. Because, you know, turn it off and back on. That usually seems to work. Hello, third viewer. Hi. How you doing? Mind the technical difficulties. For some reason, my QuickTime does not want to show my phone, although it was showing it just like 2 to 3 minutes ago. Hi, there's my face again. Hello, whoa, hi. Let's switch to phone. Come on. All of a sudden, it's like, nope, you're not going to have the presentation you wanted to have today. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You can't do that now. What did you think you were trying to do? Have a class? No. That's not possible. No. Oh boy, we might be going to computer stuff today. That might be happening. I'm gonna give it one more try. Okay, we're gonna switch off the view. Hey. Yeah, give me 1 sec to get kind of toy around with this. Why you no work? Why you no work? You're plugged in, right? I'm gonna just unplug. Yeah. Yep. We'll start there. We're gonna start from this thing off and unplugged. All right. Now we're going to plug in. We're going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to open QuickTime back up. And we're going to see all of the information about my phone. That's fun. Movie recording. All right. Oh, yeah. It's just camera. You can't see that. Perfect. Excuse the camera shaking around. It's kind of just hanging on my screen right now. I promise I will get a better setup that is more stable than this. This is very just kind of haphazardly done. It's literally hanging on my screen. Let me see if I can kind of get that a little bit better. That might be better. All right. Phone, please. Can you show? It's so strange. It like disconnected from iTunes when I did that. It just doesn't want to show now. What in the world? Let me try restarting my phone screen. That's disappointing. It's very disappointing. Well, it might be a restart. That might help. I don't really know what else I could do here. I have it selected Sammy's iPhone. Let me try going back to the camera and then going back to my phone. Sorry, 3 viewers, and I apologize for the hiccup. This is totally beyond me and why this would fail right now. In fact, I know why it would fail. Of course, it always fails at the most important moments, especially when you're live. You know, that's just like common knowledge, right? You can't have anything go the way you want it. You want it to go, can you? All right, let's try then. I'm gonna just try restarting my whole computer. This might take me a little while. Well, actually, we might be able to just get away with. I selected the audio source. Now it's reconnected. Maybe it's just the cable. Perhaps it's the cable. Let me try connecting it the other way around and just kind of like giving it more slack, because it's like showing this disconnecting and reconnecting. Interesting. Okay, we're getting a loading, but we're getting a green little rainbow loading screen, loading icon. No, I do not want to go there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got another QuickTime crash. That's fun. Okay, now my phone's disconnected again. What in the world? I need a new cable. I seriously do. Alright, let's see. New movie recording. And come on, third time is the charm. I don't even know if this is the third time. It's probably like the fifth time. Come on, just show something. Wow. Wow, that's just terrible. I can't believe this. I had to unplug once. I had to unplug one time, and now it's just like, no, you cannot have your presentation. It's not allowed. Okay, we're gonna go for a restart then. This sounds so hard to do. It is very tough at this moment. I don't understand why it is so hard for my Mac to show my iPhone screen, but it is. Apparently it is, and it just doesn't want to work when it worked like 5 minutes ago. So I just wanted to show off the Soundtrap app today. Like, look, I have it connected here, and I think it's this. I think it's this crappy long cable, and now I have look at this. Look, look at my screen. Like, what in the world? When does QuickTime Player crash on you? What in the world is this? What in the world is this? I'm gonna retitle this stream. This stream's going to be QuickTime Woes Error Stream. I don't know, dude. Something like that. Reopen. Maybe it just took the crash. Maybe the crash was all it needed, and now it's gotten it out of its system, and it can just do what I want it to do. Movie recording. My face is gonna pop up, and oh no, it isn't. It's already selected on Sammy's iPhone. See here. Yeah. This is normally what I do. I would select Sammy's iPhone, right? And then I would select this as the audio source. My phone screen is on. You can see in the camera that my phone screen is on. It is connected. Indeed, it is connected. Yes. And that should stream it to the screen. It is a two-step process, but it's turning out to be much more than that. Yeah. Alright, looks like we're gonna quickly restart. Just give me a minute. I wanted this to be the whole subject of the stream today. Alright, let me get this right again. Yeah, I apologize. I don't know why this is happening. You know, to be honest with you. Sometimes technology still baffles me. Especially Apple technology. I'm gonna give it a restart. That's probably gonna fix it and also break some things. But yeah, we need this to happen. Sorry about that. Okay, well, I suppose in the meantime we're just gonna disconnect the phone. I don't know if you can see this that well. Yeah, maybe. Can I do it like this? Alright, well, while that happens in the background, I'm going to add a new track here. I'm just going to kind of show you on the screen what's going on. So, I pressed add new track, and you can see all the options we have here. We have the same things that we have going on the computer. And this is what I was talking about earlier, the guitar bass amp, where you can connect a guitar to your phone. This is like the hard stuff to do if you get all the cables and such. But if you're a guitar player, this might be something you're interested in. If you get the right cables or right equipment, you can record right into your phone. That is possible. You have a synthesizer. This is really cool. It's got all sorts of different effects for different instruments. Okay, my computer's restarted. One sec. Type in my password. And get things back up and running. Here. I'm gonna do this, and then that will ensure that it works this time, because that is how luck works. Yes, you just have to believe. Also, let's get rid of this thing. Get that out of the frame. Alright, QuickTime Player. Okay, mouse, can you respond? Thank you. If you ever were questioning whether to get a Mac or PC, get a PC. Just get a PC. Macs are terrible. I was a Mac fan for the longest time. I have Mac this, iPad this, iPhone that, laptop, new laptop. It's bad, man. It's bad. You gotta make the solid transition to PC, because PC can do everything Mac can do. It can do Hackintosh, and Apple software is overrated. Let's be real. Let's be real. But I mean, we're covering an app today. There is an Android app out there. I'm assuming there's an Android app out there. I don't have an Android phone, but PC can access Soundtrap just the same, do everything, and it doesn't have all this weird stuff like QuickTime quitting out on you for no reason when you want to do an iPhone presentation, when you're connecting an Apple product to an Apple product, and it just doesn't work. But my computer's at like 8 to 9 years old. I guess I don't blame it. But let's work this time, computer, shall we? Yes, I'm talking to my computer. Maybe it's the connection on the other end. My mic. Sorry about that, guys. That was probably loud and startling. Seriously, after a restart, it still doesn't want to stream it to my computer. That is very frustrating. I full-on restarted the darn thing. Just a black screen. Just a black screen. Alright. Plan 2. Plan B. We have a micro USB back here. We do not. We have a micro USB to USB adapter, perhaps. We do. I don't know. I don't have another USB charger. Maybe there is another USB charging cable, or I could swap this to here. Plug it into another port, maybe. The port might be the issue. I connected right away. Yeah, for the first, what is this, 38 minutes. Disregard the first 38 minutes. Man, now it's saying it can't complete the... Yes, this is insanely difficult, Kohlmeyer. This is insanely difficult for no actual reason, but I've already explained myself. I don't need to do it again. It's just continually quitting out on me because... Alright, I'm gonna give it... if I can't get this solved by 11:45 in 2 minutes, I'm going to just do computer stuff on Soundtrap today. Yeah, and I'll get this worked out after the stream. This is just stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. It made it bigger. It made it bigger. It's black screen though. Huh. Well, we're one step closer, I think. I see a black screen though. What's all that about? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What in the world? Like, it made it the right size. Here, I'll show you on my screen what's going on. Just so you know. Look at this. Look at this! Now it's giving me an error again. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Third time's the charm. Come on. Come on. Third time is the charm. Movie recording. Sammy's iPhone. Hi. Hi again. Okay, didn't make it the right size this time. Oh man. This is very frustrating. Bruh. Bruh. That's all I gotta say is bruh. Okay. Yeah. Computer Soundtrap stuff today. Darn. We're gonna retitle the stream and everything too. We'll do it after. Actually, well, we might just retitle the stream now. Can we do it from here? I'm not sure how to run a stream. I'll change the title and all that later. I'll worry about this at another time. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because Soundtrap app is really cool. I wanted to show it off today. Man, why does Apple have to be unreliable? Okay, now it connects. It's just like it gives me a little vibration. That's it there. It's connected. It's good. QuickTime. Okay. Yes. Sorry, I just got to give it one more try, man. I just got to give it one more try. Cuz I trust it this time. I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling. Okay. Open. New movie. Maybe this is, you know, you could say, oh, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting it to work. But yeah, it didn't work this time either. I should just stop trying. Get a new cable. You know what? Let's get a new cable. Okay. Be right back, guys. I'm going to try a new cable, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll just do computer Soundtrap. We have here an official Apple licensed USB cable that is meant for the phone and is made by Apple. So we have eliminated all the variables. It ought to work now, right? That's wishful thinking. But hey, let's just believe, shall we? Plug it in. Let's plug it in. Okay. We have it. Oh, unlock iPhone use accessories. Sure, I will do that. Okay, let's restart QuickTime just for luck. Just to make sure. Okay. Don't encrypt. It's fine. Movie. Recording. iPhone. Man, I had high hopes. I had high hopes, but it's still like, it seems to be, you know what seems to be happening is it's like reconnecting and it's disconnecting and reconnecting over and over and over, which leads me to believe that the port itself might be the issue. Like the end I'm plugging into might be just like full of dust or something. It just can't keep a constant signal, which is super weird. Okay, don't disconnect. Please, don't disconnect. Maybe I need to quit out of iTunes, actually. can you... Is this not... Oh, that's Finder. Ew. Ew. I connected it to a different port, and okay, it just gives me an error immediately. I am depressed. Big depressed. Big depressed. Okay. Well, troubleshoot that another day. Let's do some Soundtrap stuff online then. Let's do it on the computer. And I will stop complaining about the fact that it doesn't work. Let's get this background nice and centered. Okay. So, where are we? 4640? Jeez. Jeez. We'll actually get started now. So let's go in. Let's create a new project. Let's create Enter Studio. Let's go in here. And save changes. Don't worry about it. Let's make some music. Okay. So we'll just kind of like do some general things, and I'll just talk about stuff. Okay, what in the world was that? All right. So just so that wasn't confusing, also let me launch my mouse software so that you can see what I'm doing. Aha! I can do things like this and like this, which I actually want to disable. Installed some software to make it a little bit easier to do tutorials. I don't know if it has. I wish I had one that did key shortcuts as well. So I'll just make sure that I talk about things as I do them. All right. Play the synth. Let's start with that. Let's start with the synth then. First of all, let's pick a key. Before we do any playing or any recording of any tracks, we might even not start with something that we did. We'll start with like a loop to kind of give us a base, something to play on top of. Because it's hard to just come up with stuff on its own. It's really hard just to start from like a blank slate. So we'll then do. Oh, you have a piano roll view. You could draw it in yourself. That is a thing you could do if you know what you want. If you know exactly what you want. But if you're like me and you have no idea where to start, let's go to loops then. And I said I wanted to do something that like 90. So then I went down here, I changed the tempo, so I clicked on it and I said 90 BPM. I can focus too. Yeah, so I go down here to 90. Awesome. So now we're at 90 BPM. You can hear the met. If I press, okay, spacebar doesn't work to press play. It is spacebar. I guess I just wasn't focused. So spacebar to stop and start. And let's look around and let's find a loop that we can perhaps work with. We'll go to Synth Loops because there tends to be cool synth loops. There's sound effects. These might be useful. Let's look for addiction. This is a Midi loop, as you can see here. See how it's got the music icon? Let's pick a key. What key do we want this to be in? E flat. It's going to change the loop, so listen. It's loading. That's better. What does the second one sound like? Oh, it's just got a couple extra notes. Alright, we'll start with those two. Even load up the right sound. We'll go ahead and load up both. I double-clicked on both in the loop browser. It made a new track for each one. That's cool. I'll keep that, but I want to move this one later because this is a variation of the first one. So we've got two tracks here. We've got Addiction 1, Addiction 2, two synths. And I'm going to leave them on separate tracks so that we can apply different effects to each one. And we'll do a transition and lead it into the next thing. So we have a nice bass to work with. This is, and I know because I'm used to hearing the keys, and you can kind of figure this out by looking at the notes, writing them down, and doing that technique that we went over the other day to figure out key signatures and scales. But I know this is an E flat minor, so I'm going to switch the key to E flat minor. It might move the notes around. Let me just quickly listen. No, it's still good. It's still good. So this is an E flat minor progression. Let's make sure that my MIDI keyboard is connected here. I disconnected it in my attempts to get my phone to work. Perhaps I can get it to be on the piano here. Show you what I'm doing with my keyboard here. It's a little clearer. I'm gonna need to move this over. Like I said, proper camera stand is coming tomorrow. I have one. I just didn't set up because I didn't think I was going to do a demonstration like this today. I thought I was going to do a phone demo, but you know how that went. You know how that went. Still can't really see it that well. All right, we'll just wait to have the camera stand for that one. That's okay. Yeah, I'll get it so that so it'll be rotated so you can see from the perspective that you would be seeing if you were playing piano, because it's kind of hard to tell if it's reverse anyways. So we won't bother. But you can see this is what I'm playing, right? That's what I'm using. It's got drum pads, got a couple keys. You could get something similar for like 20 to 30 bucks. I think they're called like the Akai MPK25s. It's a good introductory MIDI keyboard if you don't like to use your computer keyboard to do it, because you could always just do this. And this is actually quite good. It's got 2 octaves. It's Soundtrap set up so that so you can play the upper keys and you can play the lower keys, right? And it's like stacked like an organ. Let me get it so you can see me better. Okay, tend to sit over here. There we go. So we have 2 separate checks, same kind of line. I'll do the variation in a second. I want to just find some more stuff. I want to find some more stuff that's not necessarily a synth, kind of something else to work with. Well, let's choose a different category. Actually, we'll stay in the synth category and we'll choose a different type of synth. How about that? Organ. Actually, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Let's take that. Let's hear what that next section sounds like. So what I did to move that is I took my loop region and I didn't hold anything. I just clicked on it and I dragged it to over there. So now when we press spacebar to play, I make sure we were in focus here. They go well together, I think. Let's hear what the last chord of this thing is. Boom. It's like a 5 chord. Okay. Oh, by the way, what I did over here, I don't know if you can probably see the purple circle, but I soloed this track so I can hear what's going on just this one. And that means it muted all of the other tracks. So with everything now, let's hear just this. I might edit the notes, so I'm gonna go in edit notes. Let me get myself a little more room. 1 second. I have to clear a bit more space on my desk. Let's see here. There we go. Just need a little bit more room for my keyboard. All right. Let's take a look at what notes we have. I'm going to reduce it down just to one loop. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click and drag. By the way, purple circle you're looking at, when I left click, it just gets a little smaller. And when I right click, it goes like that. It gets smaller and it fills in. Okay. So we have just one loop to work with here, and then that is the same down here in the piano roll. So if you have this pulled up, if it's blank like this, to pull it up, you just click on the instrument icon, or you can click up here. So here or here. You can also double click on the loop itself, that brings it up. And now we can come down here, or we can come up here and zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in. It zooms in on the playhead, remember. So we're going to move this back to the start so that we're just going to work with this bottom loop here. We've got it pulled up in the piano roll. I'm going to zoom in some more now. That I want to zoom in like right on the center of it. So now I'm going to hide the loops real quick so I can see more. And let's play it. Let's actually change our loop region so that we can loop one section of it. So I'm going to change this to an F. F. I'm making this a dominant chord at the very end. That's the right, that's it. Oh, it's got to be a D. That's right. It's got to be a D. Now it's a little bit better. Okay, let's hear it now. Something's still wrong with it. Well, that's because that's still a 4 chord. Let me go ahead and connect my iPad. Hopefully that works out. Because I want to draw stuff. 1 sec. Got to find where I placed it. Let's connect this up. Hopefully it works. This one always seemed to work just fine. iPhone's the one I have trouble with. Okay, analog. log into the Soundtrap? Oh, and I can use the Soundtrap app on the iPad as well, but I don't know if that's exactly going to translate to what you all know or what y'all can see. It's the same stuff, really. Just going to quickly log into the Soundtrap app as well, so I can show you that on the iPad. It's the same thing, but bigger, so, you know, you'll be able to see it. Okay, can you? No. You'll be able to at least tell. Okay, I'm gonna switch to my camera as I get this to work, or maybe not, and we will see if we can have iPad today. Get that little green thing out, orange thing out of there. All right. I'm gonna give this a try with our iPad. Same procedure. We're crossing our fingers. We are crossing our fingers together, guys, that we can have a successful iPad instead of. Can we? Maybe? Oh, yes. Okay, see, the iPad works just fine. See? Thanks, Apple. But there we have it. Yes, we have drawings. We can do drawings. Awesome. We are in the key. We're going to do some figuring out of what are we doing here? We are in E flat minor, right? Minor. Okay, we want to figure out the notes in E flat minor. Okay. So we have two ways of doing it. First way is to find, or one, we can basically follow the pattern. Minor pattern from E flat, or relative major. We talked about relative major the other day, and I will go over it again. So, follow the minor pattern from E flat. Let's do that first. Let's take E flat. Let's just draw out our notes. So we have E flat, and then we have the other letter names: E, F, G, A, G to A, B, C, D. And our minor pattern, this is something you'd obviously memorize, would be, so let me just draw the arrows here. It's going to be whole half, excuse me, whole half. I'm figuring it out in my head. One second. Just verifying that this is actually the right thing. So if we follow the pattern up, let's just do it real quick. So we go up a whole step, starting on E flat, go up a whole step to F, then we go up a half step to G, but that's not a half step. F to G is not a half step, so we got to lower that G to G flat. All right, so that is a half step G flat, and then G flat to A should become a whole step, but that is actually because we have lowered the G flat, or we've lowered the G to G flat. G flat to A is actually more than a whole step. I will show you on the keyboard. So we are here. Whoops. Let me make sure I can hear it. Let's get a better instrument for this. Let it load. So we are, okay, come on. Oh, it's soloed, right? This one's soloed, so we can't hear any of the other tracks. Let's make sure we take that off. Solo the grand piano. So we are here. We're going to go up a whole step to F. And then we go up a half step to G flat. Oh, you can't see the keys. Let me go up an octave. Go up an octave here. Let me get a keyboard where I can play it. So we are at E flat, so start at E flat, and we'll go up to F. Let me get the iPad so you can see it on the screen at the same time. Boop. Okay, let me just drag this over here, and then drag this over here. Cool, cool. You can kind of see over here. All right, awesome. So we are at the E flat. Oops, that's not the E flat. E flat to F, then to G flat. So that's going to be there. So, and then we need a whole step next, but G flat to A, as we have it now, this is not going to work because it's going to go. That's A there, and it takes 1, 2, 3 half steps to get there. That is more than a whole step. So that's 3 whole step because a whole step is 2 half steps. We want to go here. So we want to go to A flat. So we have to lower the A to A flat. So now we have this. Whoops. And then A flat to B, we actually need a whole step. So A flat to B, once again, we have the same situation where it's three half steps to get to B. See, 1, 2, 3. So we want to lower that down to a B flat. So we're following the formula. The Krabby Patty formula. And B flat to C, that seems fine. We'll play the scale from now on. And then, yeah, we actually want a half step there. Excuse my formula. Aha, there it is. All right. I've gotten it right now. Okay. Nope, that's major. So, yeah. Is that actually going to be 6 flats? Remind me. I believe this 6 is C. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Never mind. Yeah, that is it. Whole half, whole half, whole to back to E flat. That might be Dorian. Let me just quickly refer to myself here. Whoops. It's hard to play on the keyboard. Excuse me. That's whole G. And then half to A. Let me just do the C minor scale just to F, G, A flat, B flat, C, whole, half, whole, half, whole, and then another whole. So it is back here. It is a half here. Whole. Yeah, I was checking this because I was unsure, and I guess it and it does indeed have a C flat in it, which is a B. I'm gonna go C flat to D flat, which is a whole step. All right. Yeah, this is gonna be. Wait a minute. Whole half. Whole to half to whole. half. We're figuring this out together, so this is what you all will do, and you pick like a new minor scale to figure out. So that is going to be we have whole, and then we have another half step from B flat to C flat. Yep, that's right. And then we have a whole step from C flat to D flat. And then we have, yeah, okay. So it does sound like this. Oh, I was certain. I was certain. So you may not remember, but I had mentioned that a scale has to have all the letter names represented in it, this is why it took me a second, because the C flat, right? It might be a confusing concept for some of you who are newer to music theory, that you can have a C flat, even though you have you would normally think of the black keys as belonging to the flats and the sharps, right? So this would be a D flat or a C sharp, because it's in between C and D. But, or for example, this would be an F sharp or G flat, or F sharp because it's above F, G flat because it's below G. But there is actually such a concept as a C flat. So C flat would be a B. And it might be something that is hard to think about, like, well, it's only a B, right? It can't be anything else. But when we have to represent all of the letter names in a scale, like, we have to go from E back up to E, and we have to say, what is F, what is G in this scale, what is A in this scale, what is B in this scale, what is C in this scale, if we're following this formula. In fact, it is a C flat. So we have a B flat and we have a C flat. So technically we have the B and the B flat and the B in the scale if we were just following what's written like on each key, right? But we have to think of it in terms of that, in terms of each letter name being represented in the scale. I'll even write that down. Each letter name is represented in the scale. So let's do way number 2. So you might also remember, and I'm gonna start back from the beginning on this. We'll do an easy one again. To represent concept 2, relative major, we want to talk now about this, right? So if you know the E flat minor formula, so we have, if we're talking scale degrees, I'm going to kind of like put this in a box, right? So 8/1. This is scale degree 1, scale degree 2, scale degree minor. And I'll make this like a bigger too. Let's see. Let's get this up here. Or not up, let's bring it down. Take the rest of this, put it there. 8/1, because I have 8/1 here because they're technically the same note, but this is just an octave up from 1. And it would be, there's our arrows. It will be whole step, and a half step, then a whole step, and a whole step, and a half step, and then 2 whole steps. Let's put the major formula. Let's put the major formula above it, actually, because we're going to need the major formula to figure out number 2. Because relative major, we're going to need to know how to make a major scale to then figure out the minor scale that is also within. So, like, the whole concept is that the notes in a major scale are also the notes in a minor scale, but if you start on a different part of the scale. So if you start on, like, if you're playing C major, for example, if you start on the A, you have, and play from A to A in C major, you're actually playing an A minor. They're the same scale. And I'll demonstrate that with the formulas here too. So major formula, let's draw that out. That is a weird looking J. Major formula. let's take the same little thing I got going on here, and I'll also make some nice looking colors. So I'll do, this will be in red. This will be in green, because green is happy, and major is supposed to be happy sounding. Minor is supposed to be sad. So maybe we even make it blue. Make it blue because minor is supposed to be sad. That's how it feels. It's the sad scale for sad songs. You know, emotion. You'll hear minor a lot more than you'll hear major. Trust me. Once you recognize it, and once you know what a minor sounds like, what a minor scale sounds like, and what a minor feels like you might not know that it's using a certain scale when you're listening to a song. You might just know that maybe you've messed around in Soundtrap and created some stuff with the minor scales down the line, and you listen to any music now, like especially stuff on 92.7, any pop music, you'll hear minor chords and major chords and mostly minor chords in these progressions, and we're just going to try to figure that out. We might even do some listening and analyzing. What I could do is import like a song. And yeah, this is actually a good idea for one of the topics one day. Is I can import a song into Soundtrap, and we can break it down and look at each section and sort of kind of block out what's going on. We'll sort of write an accompaniment to a song, and in that we'll figure out all the chords in the song, and we'll do multiple songs, and we'll show how they're all similar and use similar chords. Anyway, back to the formula. We got to start from the basics. Got to start from the beginning. Got to know what chords, what scales are before we can recognize them and use them. Most importantly, use them. Because we can't just throw loops together without knowing what they are and what is within them. So we can get them to gel better. We can get things to work better together if we know their contents better. If we know the loop's contents, if we know, like let's say we're dragging in a loop in our loop browser, we can look at it and listen to it, and we can tell, okay, is this going to work in a song? Does it have the same chord progression as the stuff that I have here? And like in that organ, I went in the piano roll and changed a couple notes so I could get it to work with the chord progression. Chord progression, I keep saying chord progression. I basically, when I'm saying chord progression, chords progression, you may remember from last week, the chord is collection of notes, a stack of notes. Okay, can you not? Stack of notes, often within a scale, right? I say often because it doesn't have to necessarily be within a scale. It can just be a chord out of its own right. Chords have formulas as well. Chords have patterns that they follow, and it doesn't necessarily have to be within scale degrees. In fact, I have a chart here that I might move down that I drew out the other day. Is basically chords that you can make with your scale degrees, depending on what scale you're in, and they'll have different qualities to them. I failed to write out the quality. So let's say if we're in major, if we're in minor, okay, I'm going to draw it out to the left here. This might not make much sense, but I will explain. So in major, the 1-3-5, if we play 1-3-5, it's going to be a, all right, so this is scale. We're going to draw this in green, I guess, to kind of separate it out. Okay, so this is the quality of the chord. Quality being major or minor, happy or sad. In fact, we'll even make the other side blue because it's minor, right? This line is fine. That's fine. Okay, so for 1-3-5 in major, let's go ahead and play the keyboard while we do this. We're gonna We're going to work in C major because that's an easy scale. It's all white keys. C to B, there's no flats or sharps. So we're gonna use that to demonstrate qualities of chords as we go up and down the scale, or up as we start on different scale degrees and make what's known as a triad. So a like 1 through 5, 2, 4, 6. These are several triads. I should say instead of chords, yeah, I put triads above. We'll put triads by scale degrees because chords can be more than just 3 notes. Like this could go on. We could have another column underneath. We could say quartets by scale degree. But you might call these 7th chords. Okay, let's get this effect thing out of the way. Let's get all this out of the way. In fact, you know what? Let's get this chart. Let's get this chart and let's copy it down. Whoops. Let's copy it down to where it makes more sense. So we'll put that there. We'll delete this much. Okay, so now we have our chart down here, kind of isolated, so we can expand on it. All right. Let's get back to it. Oh my god, my sip of coffee. I need another sip of coffee. All right. So we also have triads, or we have triads, and we also have quartets. You don't. This is not necessarily what you call them. Don't call them quartets. They're seventh chords. They're chords with 4 notes, but they're separated out by a scale degree. So one example of. Let's just call them 4-note chords, actually. Note chords by scale degree. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6. And that would be, so 8 would be 1. We'll say 8 because it's not going to be the same. 8 or 1. And then 3, 5, 7, 9. That's going to be the 2. 4, 6, 8. Oh no. Well, 4, 6, 8, which is 1, and 10, which is 3. I'm going to start drawing just from 1 to 7 now. So 5, 7. That's going to be 8, 9, which is 2, and then 4. So once again, this is technically 9. This is technically 11. 6, 8, which is 1, and then 3 and 5, and then 7, 2, 4, 6. So these are 4-note chords, and these all have names as well, and qualities. But perhaps we'll get to these. We're just going to go through the triads first. Okay. We have intervals. I'll fill out that column in a bit. Let me extend this down because we're going to identify the quality of all of them. Well, some of them. Let's just do the triads for now. I'm going to kind of draw a line here. We're just going to worry about the triads. So, we'll just to understand what's going on in this chart once again. Let me pull this up to be full screen because we don't really necessarily. Well, we can switch back and forth and fill that in. So the left column here, this says, depending if you are using a major scale starting on any note, so starting on C, for example, the notes in 1, 3, 5 would be C, the first scale degree, E, the third scale degree, and G, the fifth scale degree. Sound like this. Let's put in Soundtrap. It's gonna sound like. So that is a major quality. Notice it sounds happy. Now say I were to play in C minor now. C minor, the notes in C minor. Let me move my camera so you can see what notes I'm playing. Okay. So if I were to pick the first three notes, now that we're in minor, this is now going to have a minor quality. Because if we go back to our chart, we can see what qualifies something as a major quality, what qualifies something as a minor quality. Well, it's the interval. It's the interval. So, or the interval, what is the interval? Is the space between the notes, right? So I will quickly write out what I am talking about here. So we have R, where R is the root, i.e. the first note of the chord. So the root of the chord. And then we have a M3, capital M. I'll make sure this is capital M3. That stands for major third. So what is a major third? A major third consists of, okay, can you, sometimes the app does not want to erase. Major third consists of 4 half steps. So a major third would be this, for example. So a major third from C is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is your major third. C, E. Let's say from D flat. So what is the major third above D flat? That is 4 half steps. Well, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have to go up across the keyboard to play. I have to go. The keyboard splits at this point. That's why I'm playing this slow, because it goes from period to 1. So that is an F. So our major third ends up being D flat F. Sounds like a doorbell. So, you know, that's what doorbells often will use, are major thirds. So now you know that. Fun fact. So back to our triads now. So we have identified that on 1, starting on 1, we have a in major scale we have a major quality. We're just going to do a capital M for this. M. That is like. Let's do a better one. What could maybe we could do a. Thinking of a more clear way to resemble this than an M, because it might be hard to distinguish the M's. Let's do. A square. Build-in square for major. Now this is getting cryptic. I don't know. What could we do? I'll just make it very, very clear. I'll do colors too. If it's major, it'll be green. If it's minor, it's blue. Easy. So in major, the first triad is major. In minor, the first triad is minor. Makes sense. The second triad. So starting on 2, going 2, 4, 6. I have to scroll to the right. So in C major, here's the scale again. Starting on 2, 1, 2, going 2, 4, 6. Nope, 2, 4, 6. Well, if we're not sure on the quality, I'm sure of the quality, but if you're not sure on what that is, you can always go back to your formulas, go back to your intervals, and you see here that, well, what qualifies something for a minor? It's a minor third, then a major third. Oh, right, I never wrote down what minor third. Minor third. So little m, big M. Minor third is, so that stands for minor third, and that is 3 half steps. That's a really tough word to read. That's a little better. Minor third, 3 half steps. Demonstrate what that is. Starting on D to go up a minor third. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's our minor third. And then another, so the formula goes for a minor chord, it's minor then major. For a major chord, it's major third then minor third. Again, major chord is the root, a major third up from that, minor third up from that. A minor chord is a root, minor third, then a major third. So 4 steps, then 3 steps, half steps that is. Then for minor, 3 steps, then 4 steps. So it's kind of like flipped. So again, let's kind of check the steps on this chord. That's 3 steps, and then we already know what it is because we have the third. Because if this one is 3 steps up, it has to be 4 steps to the other one. Well, not necessarily. It could be 4 steps up again. It could be 5 steps up. And then we actually have a inverted chord. I haven't talked about inversions yet. We'll get to that. But this is actually a different chord entirely. But it's now major, and yeah. We're just worrying about root inversions right now. Just don't even just forget that I ever said inversion. For now, we'll get to it very shortly. Let's just worry about just the triads. Just the triads starting at a certain note and going up and then up again. All right. So we now know that the second chord, the second triad in minor, or in major, sorry, is minor. It is a minor triad. By the way, these aren't the only chords. I will expand this list as we run into different types, because we will run into different qualities of chord by going through these triads, and we'll discover them. So on the major scale, on C major scale, we have a minor chord starting at scale degree 2. So again, in the C major scale, we have, if we make a triad on the scale degree 2, on the second scale degree, which in C is D, and we go DFA, that makes a minor scale, or a minor chord. Minor chord. So, yeah. Now, what about in minor? Here's the first instance of a different type of quality. Let's go ahead and play. Let's say we did 2, 4, 6 in minor. What's that going to end up being? I'm going to play the minor scale again. So, whole, half, whole, half, whole, whole. . let's see, 2, 4, 6. So we have that 2. What's 4? 3, 4. That's 4. 6. What is 6? 5, 6. Now that's not minor. It's not major. It's like minor would be here. So that A flat would be raised to an A. And we have it ending on 5. But we don't actually have this one or ending exactly a fifth above. And I'll talk about what a fifth is. It's another type of interval, just like the major third. That, in fact, is a different way of looking at the interval. I'll do this in a sec. So we have... that is our minor chord, and then we have the fifth lowered. This is actually called a diminished chord. So when you have a stack of minor thirds, and then another minor third, that is a diminished chord. So for that, I'm going to put a D, and it's going to be purple. So that is actually D, diminished. Let's color these as well, just to make it more clear. This will be in blue. This will be in green. Dark green, so it's a little easier to read. All right. Triad diminished. That's going to be root, minor third, minor third. Okay. So that's what qualifies a diminished chord, as it being diminished rather than just how it sounds. It sounds a certain way, but this is how you would make it up from any note. So, for example, before I get to that, I want to sort of like look at this another way. Look at these intervals another way. First thing, so I'm going to just drag this diminished next to the other chords. And then second thing is we're going to reduce the size of this, bring it up here, and we're going to define an extra interval. We're going to define a let's see, what would I say? P4. We have P5, and then we have D5. So this is called the perfect fourth. Why is it perfect? Because, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Let me just define these others. Perfect fifth, because we have two perfect ones. We have the diminished fifth as well. This is not a technical one, but, well, actually, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Where do I define these? First of all, I'm going to talk about perfect. Perfect. And asking multiple questions at the same time. So, by perfect, that means this is the only... This interval can only be described by this many steps. And it always sounds... It's perfect for reasons other than, you know, what I'm going to be saying. Like, it's always going to be... A perfect fourth is always going to be... Let's go to our keyboard. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's always going to be 5 half steps away. You can make some interesting chords by stacking fourths as well. So the perfect fourth. We're gonna just not even talk about kind of like the music theory behind why and other reasons. There are other reasons beyond just the number of steps to why it's called perfect. But I'm not going to get into them because it would just be unnecessary. we just need to kind of remember 5 half steps. Just need to remember this. Kind of. We need to remember 5 half steps. Makes up a perfect fourth. And then we have a perfect fifth, which is going to be 7 half steps. And then we have a diminished fifth, which is 6 half steps. So these are the names for them. Now, you could kind of take the same logic as, like, say, a sharp and a flat, for example. You could say, well, isn't there such a thing as, if there's a diminished fifth, and there's a perfect fifth, shouldn't there be a sharp fifth, or shouldn't there be a diminished fourth? Well, if we did a diminished fourth, that just kind of makes a major third, doesn't it? Because diminished would be lowering it down by a half step, right? From 7 half steps to 6 half steps to make a diminished fifth, which is an actual thing, because we can't have a raised fourth, because then that would make the diminished fifth. They each have their own names, and it was decided why do they have these certain names? It was decided long ago. It's not up to me, but this is what they are. And when you see them, when you hear them, that's what they are. This is the diminished fifth. I'll play for you. It is also known as, there is another name for the diminished fifth. It is called the tritone. Some will call it the devil's tritone, the devil's interval, because it is the most dissonant interval. We can talk about dissonance and consonants, but that's another concept. This just kind of talks about how well 2 notes work together. Do they clash? A tritone clashes the most. Also, a minor second will clash. So, in fact, let me go ahead and expand this list here. I'll expand it down here, and we'll slip in major second and minor second. Major second and minor second. And I would be very clear about all these major and minor, because it might be that, like, oh my gosh, there's so many majors and minors, and they all have their own definition of major and minor, and this is a major second, minor second, but it makes up a major chord or part of a minor chord, but within a major or minor scale, we use the same words for different parts, different concepts, so we just have to get used to the different meanings of major and minor. Like within the context of an interval, or within the context of a scale, or within the context of a chord. They all have different meanings then, right? Because, like a major chord, right? A major triad, so with 3 notes separated out with scale degrees, that's made up of a major third and then a minor third. So it's made up, so the major chord is made up of major and minor, right? But that's only within you're within the major scale. Minor, it's like vice versa. It's like everything's kind of flipped around, sort of, kind of, not really. The first chord in minor, the first chord on the first scale degree is minor. This is something that's consistent across. Like if you play the first, starting on scale degree 1, you play the first chord in any scale, that's always going to be the same quality, major or minor, as the scale is. So if you play 1, 3, 5 in A flat major, that's going to be a major chord. If you play it in A flat minor, I'll play that real quick. I keep scrolling the wrong direction. Let me choose a better spot. This one's difficult to play because I have to go over here. That is an A flat minor chord. So starting on 1, starting on the first scale degree, A flat, major third to C, minor third to, from C to E flat, so minor third. And I wrote those other intervals out, like perfect fourth and fifth, because what if we just took out the third entirely? So if we had just the upper, let's see here. Let's get my notes back. Take out that third. Now, what is the interval between those two? That is a perfect fifth. That is 7. That, because we added the major third and the minor third together, we get 7. That is our perfect fifth. That never changes. If we increase it, we get to diminished sixth, which I haven't talked about yet. There's also major and minor sixth. Actually, no, that would be minor sixth. Yeah, it would just be a minor sixth if you raised it because it's major. I'll add them to the list just to avoid confusion. We'll just fill it out, right? We'll just complete them all. Major 6, and then we can order them by amount of semitones, amount of half steps. Major 6th, and then minor 6th, and that's going to be 9 half steps. So we're going to reorder them. So it makes more sense. 8 half steps. And then we have 2 more. What do you think they'll be? Major and minor 7th. That's right. I heard you respond. That's right. Right? Major and minor 7th. Again, this is why I use different colors, because it's really hard to distinguish between the capital and the lowercase. I'll make it a bit more obvious. Major 7. Whoops. Minor 6th. Major 6th. And yeah, okay. That's pretty clear. Major 7th. That's going to be 11 half steps. So that is the biggest interval you can have before you reach an octave. In fact, let's do that. Oh. Major, minor 7th. So minor 7th is going to be 10 half steps above your root. And then octave, this is essentially the same note as the root note, so an A flat. The octave would be the A flat above that. So that's super easy way. You don't have to think what an octave actually is just, so it's an octave, right? Octave, and that's going to be 12 half steps. And that makes sense because there are only 12 notes possible, and well, there are only 11 unique notes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 unique notes. There are only 12 unique notes, and you have to go through all of them, starting on C to get to the next, or starting on A flat, starting on whatever note to get to the next one. So we'll count them up. 1, 2. We're counting up steps. So I'm starting 1 step. That's 1 half step, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's your octave. So there's our very last interval. If we go any higher than that, we can make like ninths, we can make tenths, but essentially, why would you do that? They're just seconds or thirds. It just kind of wraps around at that point because it's the same notes. You would space them out, but they're still technically that interval. They're still technically the smaller interval because they use the same notes. I'll demonstrate. So I'll play all the intervals down the line real quick, and we'll get it so we can see what we're doing. And we'll kind of get an idea of how each interval sounds alone, and then we'll kind of stack the intervals on top of each other and make chords that way. So I want to make this not full screen anymore, and bring it over here so we can see the list of intervals. It might be a little small. I'm going to try to make it a little bigger. Nope, I can't click on that. Okay. Okay. That's good. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. So, like I said, we'll order them in terms of distance. Nope, we're not clicking the right spot. We want to click here. So, root. That's the same. There's no interval there. That's just the first 0 half steps, right? If you think of it that way. Oh, I never wrote here. Let's quickly take this little suggestion here. I need to grab it and drag it. You're not going to let me do it, are you? All right, this would be, the minor second would be 2 half steps. Oops, that's not right. It'll be 1 half step. Why? See why I have to reorder them? Steps. 2 half steps. There. Just kind of trying to also follow the natural order of like major and minor. Like I've always talked about major first and minor second. Minor second, no pun intended. But like it's probably more useful in this context to talk about it like major or minor being first and then major after that, because that's kind of like the natural order of things in a sense. Smaller intervals are minor intervals. So let's swap some things around. So first thing we'll do is we will swap major and minor. We gotta give ourselves some room to do this. First I'll take all of them and just kind of shift them over a little bit. I'm gonna shift them down to their own page. Aha. And bring it over some so you can see what I'm doing. Awesome. Don't mind the box in the middle with the recording and all that. That'll go away. All right. So we have our minor second first. Let's go ahead and shift that over. We'll move this up. So we have root, then minor second, then major second. And then we have minor third, then major third. And then we have perfect fourth. Perfect because you can't diminish it. Because this is a good way to describe perfect. Perfect because if you diminish it, it ends up being a major third. And if you augment it, oh, we haven't talked about augmented. Yes, so that is basically the opposite of diminished. We might run into an augmented chord, but unless we're using a scale other than major or minor, we will not actually run into any augmented chords. But essentially an augmented is when you raise you have a triad. It's like an augmented triad. That's when you raise the fifth by 1 semitone, by 1 half step. I'll draw it up here. We'll do it in a nice, what's a good color for augmented? Maybe a brighter green. No, it's gonna be hard to read. Let's do like orange. Augmented. So if we ever do run into this, it's gonna be root, major third, major third. Right? There had to be something for that, and that's what it is. That's an augmented chord. We'll hear one too. Let's listen to what an augmented chord sounds like. So say we were to do an augmented chord on C. That's our augmented chord. Major, augmented. It's a useful chord in progressions. So, right? It's useful in transition, but on its own, it doesn't sound very good. It might to you, to someone else's ears, it might sound like, oh, this is the beginning of a song right here. I like this chord, right? And you might discover that as you kind of try to build your own chords. I recommend that you do build your own chords because I'm giving you kind of the outline here. So we've got like chords you can build by intervals, and I'm giving you all the intervals, and I'm also giving you all of triads that can be made by using the scale degrees instead. So you can build a chord based on intervals alone, and you can build a chord by scale degree, which will end up fitting within this kind of guideline here, as long as you separate out by just only one note in between. But when you're making your triads, or your 4-note chords, or your 5-note chords, you can come up with any. And we'll talk about inversions and what inversions mean. But let's continue up the chain here. So I've only done the first few. I guess I could do the rest, but let's go back down here first. Let's continue reordering our intervals. So we have, actually, the diminished fifth is going to go between the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth. And by the way, this stream is going to go on a little bit longer today because of the little hiccup at the beginning. So I'd like to fill a little bit more time, if you all don't mind. All right. So after the perfect fifth is going to come the minor sixth, then the major sixth, and then the major seven. Actually, no. The minor seven is going to come next. And then the major seven. And then the octave. Beautiful. Take that a little bigger. A little easier to see. So here we have it. So here are all of our intervals in half steps. Remember that I use the word half step and semitone interchangeably because if you go overseas to the UK and Britain, they will most often, when talking about music, use the word semitone. And you have the whole tone and then you have the semitone. Whole tone moving up a whole step and semitone moving up a half step. I like the word semitone, it sounds cooler, but half step is much more clear to what's going on, to what it is. It is half of a whole step. But you can also use this term, semitone, half step. Half step. Okay. Let's go back to our triads now. So we can look at this in terms of like this, for example, in C major. This would be a major third, and then this would be a minor third. Let's go on then. Let's look and see what the other qualities will be of these other triads. So starting on 3, let's continue with C. We're in C major now. Play the scale. Okay, and then on E. So we'll start on E. That's going to be scale degree 3. We are figuring out this one right now. So 3, 5, 7. So starting on scale degree 3. And we'll go to, we'll skip 1 in the scale. That lands us on 5. Which is G, and then up to 7, which is B. So that's going to end up in C major. That's going to be a minor because we have 3. That's 3 semitones, so that's a minor third. And then from here to B, that's a major third. So minor chord. So let's go back to our view here. Let's make it so you can see the qualities. Ooh, almost knocked my coffee over. Very important that that does not happen. So there we go. We have minor. Minor. And what about in What about in a minor scale now? So then in E, so then the third is now lowered. It was here. That was our third before, and now it's this. And then we have our fifth. So that actually makes up a major third there. And then we have major to minor third. That is a major chord. So in minor, on the third, we have a major chord. How interesting. Okay. And remember how I talked about the concept of relative? We'll get to that, and and by doing this, we'll kind of discover why a relative minor or relative major even exists. Like, we can look at the relationship between the major and the minor scale and what chords they form, and we can see that it emerges like, oh, this is just a transposition of the other, and I'll talk about that once we get all these filled out. All right, so 4, 6, 1. So starting on scale degree 4, the 4 chord, that's another name for it. The chord on scale degree, so the 1 chord in major is major. The 1 chord in minor is minor, and so on and so forth. So on the 4 chord, starting on F, right, in C major, that's going to be major, minor. That's our major chord. So major on 4. Okay, what about in minor? Oops. Those extra notes are not supposed to be there. So let's figure out the intervals. That is a minor third, and then a major third. That is a minor chord. Cool. All right. Then the 5 chord. What's that going to be? Let's look at it. So, in C major now. Going up a major third. To B, and then to D. We need to hit the period. That is a major chord, right? Okay, cool. And let's draw it out. Major. And then in minor, and I'm going really slow because, first of all, I want y'all to get it and kind of understand the concept and understand the process of figuring it out. So then, when you're doing your own projects, you can kind of go through this at first and be like, all right, what are the notes in my scale? What chords can I use with this scale? So you can refer. I can somehow provide this chart, maybe in a little bit more organized fashion. And also, you could find all this information online, like what chords are in the scales, various tools, and I can probably. What I'll do is next stream I will show you. Hopefully, I will have the iPhone working at that point, and I'll show you the iPhone app for Soundtrap as well as some iPhone apps that will help you figure out chords and scales better. Perhaps some websites too, but I don't really know of the best ones at the moment. But there are plenty of online resources to help you figure out chords and scales and such. I'm just trying to give you kind of a slow, methodical introduction to all of that. So we're not just picking, loops at random. We're making things that are coherent and work together. Anyways, 5 chord in minor. What is it? That's another minor chord. Okay. Let's write that down. All right. The 6th chord. So in major, it would be starting on A, then going up to C, and then going up to E, which is a Q on my keyboard. That's a minor chord because three semitones, and then 4 semitones up to the 5th. Right? That's our minor chord on 6. That's in C major. C minor. We have A flat, and then C, and then we have E flat, which is 1. So that actually makes up another major chord, believe it or not. So there we go, a major chord on the 6. Now what about on the 7? So 7 in major. Let's do it. So we're starting on B, and then we're going up to D, then going up to F. Now that one's particularly interesting because what we have here is a minor third, and then another minor third. I wasn't supposed to spoil it. Up to the F. So what is that? We go back down to our qualities. Or over here. Oops, it's hidden by the DAW. Excuse me. We go back here and we look. We can see we actually have a diminished chord on 7 because we have stacked minor thirds. Just by coincidence, or not coincidence, that's just how things work. We have a diminished chord on 7. In major, by the way. There we go. What about minor? Well, let's go over the chords and the notes in minor again. So we have our 7. Then we have our 2. Let me get the right notes over here. And then we have our 4. Or our 7, then our 9, and then our 11. But technically, the D and the F, the 9 and the 11, are also the 2 and the 4. Just up an octave. So that is a major chord, right? Let's get that out of the way. That is a major chord. And real quick, I talked about, I said that 7, 2, 4. Here, let me go to where you can see this better. Okay, 7, 2, 4 also means 7, 9, and 11. Okay, right? So this is the 9th scale degree and the 11th scale degree. But these are the same notes essentially as the 2nd and the 4th scale degree. They are both D and F. Like this is 2 and 4, and this is 9 and 11. Just up an octave. But what if we were to play them down here, right? So we're playing the 7th scale, the 7th chord in minor on C minor. The 7th chord in C minor. 7th triad. Right? But what if we wanted to play it down here? Is that still the 7th chord? Still got the same notes, but now it's 2, 4, 7. Now here comes this brings us to the concept of Inversions. So you can essentially change the order of this triad. So this is the, so when you stack them on top of each other, like you go up and then up again in this form. So this is called the root inversion. All of these are in root inversion. So I'll make another little, excuse me, another little tab here. And we'll say inversions. So we have root inversion. So it's, we're going to use a different scheme here. We're actually going to use letters just to kind of separate it out. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. We'll just use scale degrees. 1, 3, 5. If we wanted to, let's say we had, or you know what? Let's take the example we had. 7, 9, 11. Okay? Okay. So that is the 7th chord in root inversion. Now, there are 2 other inversions. At least when it comes to triads, there are 2 other inversions. There's the first inversion, which is we take the 9 and the 11 and we put them, or we take the 7 and we move it to the front. So we go 9, 11, and then 7. But that's not exactly right. We need to then, because the 7 is now on top, so root is now on top. Maybe I'll do root. Perhaps I'll no, you know what? I'll leave it there. And this is the root, the 3rd, and the 5th of any chord. Any. This is like any chord, right? Any. Draw a little line up here. Hopefully this makes sense. 3, 5, root. Okay, so then 9. We have 9, 11, and then 7. But because the 9 and the 11 are now supposed to be beneath the 7, I'll play it out real quick. So we have this. This is root inversion. And we want it in first inversion now. So we want the 7, or the root to be the top note of the chord, which means these 2 have to be moved below it. So there's root inversion. And then first inversion. So you have 3, 5, and then root. And we'll also do it in intervals. So let's do this. Let's do this. Intervals. Cool. We'll draw another bar. It says interval. It's gonna go root, and then major 3rd, or excuse me, yeah. Well, in minor, oh, it's gonna change based on whether you're in minor or major. Okay, so we'll just say, boy. We'll just take this chord that we're working with. Minor. Okay, so this is a B flat, right? So then when it goes to D, that is a major 3rd. Major 3rd, and then a minor 3rd. That's really hard to tell, isn't it? It's really hard to tell the difference. Let me try to kind of make it a little more clear. Boop. Boop. Major 3rd. And then minor 3rd. Now, what do the intervals do when we switch it to first inversion? We have to correct the numbers. First of all, they're no longer 9 and 11. They are now 2 and 4. So we have 2, 4, 7. So what does that end up being? We have a D. And then we have a minor third. So we actually have this minor third that was from between 9. Oh, whoops. You can't see it. All right. Let me just go over what I just drew, because you probably couldn't see what I just did. So the intervals I drew above here. So we're in, I put minor because we're in C minor. This major third and minor third is only going to apply if you're talking about a 7 chord in C minor or in any minor, because the 7 it's dependent on the scale. So you have your major third and then your minor third from 9 to 11. Because we move the 9, 11 to the bottom of the chord, to the beginning of the chord, and we said then 2, and now they're 2 and 4 because they're below. We keep that minor third. It's still minor third between 2 and 4. It's because it's between D and F. So we move the minor third down. And now what do we have between 4 and 7? So let's figure this out. We have an F for 4. And then up to the B flat. That is actually a perfect fourth. So we end up with a perfect fourth in the chord. M3, and then we end up with P4. Let's check it out. So here's how we end up with a perfect fourth by making an inversion. And these intervals sound different, you know? They sound like this. This has a different feel to it. Whoops. Then, what's another way to represent this? Than that, right? This is a major third. Let me get this. Like, if we let it ring out, you can really kind of tell. Let me do it with lower notes. Let's see. Lower down an octave. We'll kind of let things ring out a little. Let's choose a better instrument for this. Because we'll talk about, I want to just quickly go over, like, when we play two notes together in a certain interval, they combine in different ways depending on what interval you use. So let me, what's the best instrument to use for this? Probably a pad or a lead. Let's choose something clean. Okay. Can I actually click? There we go. It's got some delay on it. I don't want that. Can turn down that effect. This is a really good one. Okay, this will be perfect for this. I don't want so much movement though. Well, that's kind of just a sine wave. That's perfect. That's actually just what I wanted. Okay, so if we have we just now have like pure sine waves now, and we're just gonna listen to how intervals sound when you just kind of put two notes next to each other. So let's compare. So in our root inversion, we have the major third and the minor third together. So let's do a major third. So start with this note. Let me turn it up some. Okay. Less reverb and less delay. We don't need all that stuff. Maybe a little bit. So that's our major third. And you listen to that, how that sounds. Kind of get familiar with it. And then a minor third. Let's go down an octave. Maybe that's a little much. Yeah, here. Uh, uh, oh, right. So that's our minor third, really low. You can hear how it's kind of, it's like fighting a little bit. You can hear it, right? But now with a major third, you can hear the clicking gets a little faster. So, and then when you get to the perfect fourth, so here's the perfect fourth, and then you can hear the interval gets a little bit more pleasant as we get further and further apart. Let me go up an octave. Oops, sorry about that. That's a little loud. So there's our minor third, major third, perfect fourth. So you can kind of hear like a roughness, and you could really hear it when I went down an octave, and you could hear it was like a clicking, right? It was like a rough. It's like that's what the sound of the notes conflicting together, and it has a name and it has technical definition. It's called beating. When the two notes conflict, and I can get into all the science behind it, but I'm pretty sure it's not the most interesting thing in the world, or maybe it is. It depends. I could talk about that too. That's something that's interesting to y'all. And like the physics of the actual waves of that frequency and how they conflict, and it changes, and you get this different feel depending on what interval you use. So you essentially then, that kind of gives purpose to inversions, because when you have inversions, you're stacking different intervals on top of each other. So in your first inversion, you combine a minor third and a perfect fourth. The root inversion, you combine a major third and a minor third, and that gives you a different feel. Even though it's the same notes, they're in different positions, and you get the different intervals. So that's what you get. That's the variation you get, is you stack the different intervals together. So let's then, there's one more inversion when we're talking about triads. It is the second inversion. I'll draw out my bars. I'll draw out this other stuff here. So in any scale, any chord, we have our so this in this case we have root inversion. I'll go down an octave here. So we have root inversion and then first inversion. And then we want, so we had the first on top, and now we're moving the third on top. So we have here, we had 2, 4, 7, and now we want 7, 2, 4. Well, actually, wait. No. 4. Let me do it with 9 and 11. It'll make more sense, and then I'll transform. So the fifth is on the bottom, and then the first. So look back at the root, right? First, third, fifth. Our fifth is on the bottom, and then our first is now the third, and then the fifth is going to be 9. And we're going to now lower the notes that need to be lowered, right? Because 11 was before, it was above 7. So, and we need it to be below, because that's the inversion. So we'll change this to a 4. That 9 stays a 9 because it's above the 7, right? It's higher up in the inversion. Just a reminder, it's 1:30. Okay, I will wrap up in like 5 minutes or so. Yeah, sorry for going on so long today. It was because of the hiccup at the beginning. with me wanting to show you the phone and that not working. Tomorrow will definitely be a shorter stream. Because I will be testing it before we start. And if it doesn't work, we're not going to spend half an hour trying to fix it. Or I'm not going to spend half an hour trying to fix it and making you watch. I apologize for that earlier. Right. Let's just finish up talking about the inversions, and we'll kind of test a couple of chords. We'll just invert a couple more chords, and then we will be done. So let's go on here. So second inversion, we have 4, 7, 9. Let's play it out. So we were working with this chord beforehand. So that's in first. And then in first, that is in root inversion. 7, 9, 11. And then first inversion would be D, F, B flat. Let me go up an octave so you can hear it. I'll choose a different instrument that's a little less harsh. Let's do keyboards. Electric range. Sure. That's our first inversion. Our second version. So our fifth is first. Then our root is the second or the third of the chord. No, the second note in the... Then the second note in the stack, right? And then the third note is... The top note is the... What was the third note in root inversion, right? What was the third scale degree? It is still the third scale degree. So the top, the third is this. I'm saying this because this might be confusing, right? The third scale degree is now the third note in the inversion. So you kind of see what I mean? It's like multiple. We're using the third in multiple ways, just like we're using major and minor to define multiple parts. It's a mixed mash. One word being used for a bunch of different things. One number being used to describe a different type, a different part of the music in a different concept or a different context. I mean, so it's necessary to go through this stuff and to go through this stuff slow. Let's try then. Let's take C major. The most basic chord there is, in my opinion, C, E, G. This is in root inversion because we're stacking them just on thirds, one after the other, starting on the root note of the chord. Oh, what? No. So there's our root inversion, and then first inversion, moving up the root to the top, and then second inversion, the third of the third scale degree is now on top. Cool. So let's go quick review. We're gonna zoom out here. So we have all of our intervals. We talked about from 1 half step all the way up to 12 half steps. They all have names, and chords are all made up of these intervals, and the intervals change. Oh, whoops! And I never talked about the interval. I never wrote what this is. It would be 5 root 3, and the intervals would be from 4 to 7. That is another perfect fourth. And then we have a major third. So then that changes it from, whoops, that is really hard to see. We have a perfect fourth, and then we have a major third. When here we had a minor third and a perfect fourth together, we now have a perfect fourth and a major third together. Cool? Alright. Alrighty. that is only if you're in minor. It changes if you're playing a chord in major, right? And you can go through and figure that out just by counting it. Yeah, we have triads that make up certain qualities of chord. When you play the certain notes in the scale, or you play the certain scale degrees, you have major and minor diminished augmented chords. We haven't gotten to an augmented chord. Perhaps we will get to an augmented chord tomorrow, hopefully on the phone. But yes. Chord progression. We haven't really talked much about the chord progression. I kind of started to make something here with a progression in it, and we'll get to more of that tomorrow. So tomorrow will be on the phone and progressions of chords, and how should we, now that we know what chords are and know how to make them up based on scale degrees and intervals, what chords go best with each other? Which ones should we pick one after the other, right? Songs are made up of a progression of chords, one to the next. How do we pick the right chord to go after? What do we pick what's the first chord going to be? How long should our chord progression be? How many chords should we use? It could only be one. We'll talk all about that tomorrow. Alrighty. That is not right. That's next stream is not around 11:15. I guess I have to make a separate. Alright, but it's supposed to say Tuesday. So just imagine there being Tuesday there. Properties. You don't have to imagine. I can write it in. Boom. Tuesday at around 11:15. That is our next stream date. It's going to start at around 11, but of course we're going to give a 15-minute time to for people to arrive. And we will definitely not have any technical difficulties tomorrow. That is guaranteed. No, it's not. That's a lie. They always come up when you least expect them. So, yeah. Sorry for the long stream today. But yeah. Same time tomorrow. And, yeah. See you later, Nate. All right.